Welcome to Shoot the Messenger. I'm your host, Dramatic. Today I got my buddy Matt with me. Matt, say what's up.
What's up, guys? I'm Matt.
And we are going to be talking about this interview between a Christian and a Jewish man named Larry Finkelstein. I figured it kind of fit the narrative since all this Epstein stuff's been coming out lately. And I'm a little Epstein out, but I thought this interview was interesting, so let's check it out.
Pen scratch, prophecy etched in the dirt. Scrolls unravel, ink bleeds, it hurts. Whispers in alleys.
Filling in for Pastor Bob, who covered for me last week. We're going to have a very, very interesting program tonight. I'm sure you're going to find it that way. I have a guest by the name of Rabbi Abe Finkelstein. He's off the east coast of the United States, who's going to be joining me tonight. And we're going to be talking about authenticity of things in the world. Rabbi Abe Finkelstein, as I said, a rabbi off the east coast of the United States. Are you there with me tonight?
Shalom, I am here.
Say, listen, I'm filling in here for Pastor Bob tonight, and I know we've never met, but I do have some very interesting questions for you. I think questions that I want to give you the opportunity to answer to, because there's a lot of rumors and conjecture that's taking place across this country relating to the Jewish population, okay?
Okay.
Now, you see, as being off the synagogue and a teacher of the Jewish race, because you are a race, aren't you?
Well, some say we're a race, some say we're a religion.
Yeah, well, what do you say?
We're a little of each.
I can imagine, yeah. Now, I want to get into some...
Now that right there is already interesting to me for a couple reasons. One, there has always been like a Jewish features, right? Like when you see people from Israel, a lot of times they always have distinctive noses. You can kind of tell that they're Jewish when you see them. They kind of have a look to them. So when people would always say, well, that it's just Judaism, it's just a religion, I always thought that was a little weird, because I was like, that doesn't seem to be the case. Like when I see a Jewish person, I can tell it's a Jewish person. But when I see a Christian, when I see someone's a Christian, I wouldn't just look at them and go, oh, look, there's a Christian, right? They don't have like identifying factors.
Right.
So I thought that question was interesting.
Hearing,
Yeah.
it's just hilarious listening to it, because it's like he asked the most obvious question,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then the answer is like, you expect him to say one or the other, like, oh, it's just really what I expect him to say, right? Is like, oh, we're just a religion, we're not a race.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
He didn't say that. So.
Exactly. That's exactly what I expected too. Because I've had this conversation before and I was like, I don't know. And so it's interesting to hear somebody actually try and answer that question, because I've always thought that. I really don't know if it's necessarily just a religion, right?
Like, I thought that was weird growing up. I'm like, wait, are they,
Yeah.
Because nobody knows. I mean, you can answer that.
It's a weird thing. So.
Some hard topic here right away here. You're a very pronounced person among your own people, and of course you're very aware that I don't like you or your race, okay? I'm sure you're aware of this, right?
That's your problem.
You see, there's a big topic that's going around on this 6 million Holocaust that took place during World War II of the Jews at Buchenwald, Auschwitz, and different places. A lot of information has come out here, Rabbi Finkelstein, that it's all myth and it's all conjecture. Could I have your view on this?
Well, everybody knows that the Jews never told a lie in the history of the world. However, whether it's 6 million or 600,000 or 60,000, it's just a number.
Oh, it's just a number, but the thing that I want to get to you at is that, the 1934 World Encyclopedia stated that there was only 3.5 million Jews in all of Europe. How did 3.5 million Jews populate themselves to 6 million? This is the question I'd like answered.
Well, it's certainly a good question, there's no doubt about it. But the number, numbers, what can I say about numbers? The important thing is that Jews have always been persecuted all throughout the history of the world forever and still are.
So same thing. He's avoiding it, right? You can see he's like, they're just numbers, right? Who cares? Like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't add up.
Yeah, he's like, why? Why are you asking?
Yeah.
But basically, is what he's like, why? It's like when someone's asking you a question you don't want to answer because you don't want them to find out.
Exactly.
Like, why? You know?
I mean, that's like twice he's already kind of dodged it, and it's like, but you know,
and no, that he said.
The
important thing is that Jews have been persecuted forever and all throughout history and still are.
100%.
That was like the most important sentence in there.
Yeah.
Like, that's all that matters is that you know that.
Exactly. He said the numbers don't matter.
Yeah.
You just have to know that
Jews are the victims.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Well, the reason they're persecuted is because they're thieves, liars, and murderers, just like it's stated in the book of John 8:44. Yet you're
Bible stuff.
You're a lying Jew is what you are. You're a lying Jew.
You could say that, but even when we lie, we tell the truth.
You know, this is very ironic because, you know, I never thought that I would get anyone that had the nerve to join me on a broadcast like this live. And you know, I just got off a program with a retired colonel, a very highly decorated colonel, on my last broadcast, my original broadcast here, Rabbi Finkelstein. And we got into the banking aspect of the money in this country. Now, everybody, a lot of people who have studied banking and economics, they know that the Federal Reserve Banking Corporation is a private Jewish bank. Is this true?
Well, yes and no.
Well, what part is yes?
Well, it's a banking institution, that's for sure.
You see, the thing that I don't like about this is that the Jews never knew what hard work was, and they never had. And besides, you know, this is the nice part about it. You Jews are just Christ murderers anyway.
Well, that's true. We did murder him, but he was Jewish too.
Oh, no, he was Almighty Yahweh, God in the flesh body. That's the problem you got.
Well, we tell all the Goyim that they worship a Jew and they believe it, so what's the difference?
And now that you brought up the Goyim, let's talk about that. In other words, the Goyim, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you will. Rabbi Finkelstein, a Goyim is any person who isn't a Jew. A Goyim is classified as cattle or an animal. Is this correct?
Well, they are cattle because we're the chosen people.
Well, yeah, you're chosen.
So that's the thing about this interview is it's so bold and upfront,
Like,
right? That it's like almost like what everyone like thinks or doesn't want to say out loud, and he's just like bold about it. He's proud of it. He's like, listen, I don't care. I'll tell you exactly how it is. And it's because me and you both know a lot of this stuff for a very long time has just been conspiracy theories.
right.
No one really believes this stuff.
Right.
It's like, I mean, even us, we were talking about,
Like, starting to doubt myself over here.
you know, you think this stuff, and then you think everyone's like, oh, that's a conspiracy, and you're like, well, no one's listening to me. Maybe I'm nuts. So at some point, you start to just question your own thoughts, and especially when you've been thinking this way for so long. But nowadays, especially with the Epstein files coming out, you can see a lot of this stuff's kind of being verified of the power that Israel holds over our country, right? And a lot of people want to point fingers or whatever, but there's a lot of stuff in this interview particularly that is going to like shock people to hear. Like they're not going to believe that he's even saying half of the stuff he said. I don't even know if people would even think about the Jews owning the central banks, like owning the Federal Reserve, owning all of the banking system.
Average people, no.
You know what I mean? Yeah, no one's going to
Absolutely
think that. They're not going to believe that, right? And that's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people that have been digging through books the last 20 years. And I'm not talking about the people that no one listens to.
The people that actually care.
The people that no one listens to,
yeah.
Not those people. The average Joe, the average person is like going to be like, I can't believe he's saying this. I can't believe that this is even a thing. Well, it is. And he's telling you straight to your face.
Fertilizer, that's what you're chosen for. You know, this is what the book of Enoch, the patriarch, Even Yahweh in a flesh body said that all of you Jews, the descendants of Cain, are going to perish for the evil that you have done in this world. You are the destroyers and the incineraries of the world, are you not?
I'll agree with that.
But you see, the thing that really bothers me, and not bothers me to the extent of losing sleep over people like you, is that all wars have been created by Jewry. They've been all set up to gain, as a monetary gain. Wouldn't you agree?
It's the greatest game in the world to make some shekels.
Now, let me ask you this. You know, there's so much things being talked about with George Bush in the White House. Let me have your opinion, first of all, about George Bush in the White House.
He's a good goyim.
Yeah, well, he's a good goyim. Yeah, good for...
Good boy. He takes his orders from Ariel over there, and he tells them what to do, and he does it like a good goyim.
Would you agree that when the Balfour Declaration was signed in England, and the Jews were taken to Palestine, the land of Palestine, would you agree or disagree that there's actually more killing and there's been as much slaughter in Palestine by the Jews slaughtering and killing the Palestinians as there are of the Iraqi people being butchered in the last 12 years?
Well, who counts? But once in a while, you got to thin out the herd. When you own the herd, you got to thin out the herd.
I see. That's the philosophy of making money and staying alive and staying ahead. Is this right? Now, I'd like to...
You take that Iraq business over there. We got the white goyim fighting the Arab goyim, and they're killing each other, and we're making a lot of money, and we get the oil, and we get the interest. The most important thing is the interest on all the shekels that we loan both sides.
You mean usury?
That's right. You call it usually.
Now, you know, there's a book out that you read, Rabbi Finkelstein, called the Talmud. Now, the Talmud refers to Christ as his mother was a whore, and he was a bastardized son of a Roman soldier. Is this what's being taught in the synagogues?
Well, every good Jew knows that.
But you see, the reason that I wanted to ask you this is that, you know, you just said a little while ago that he was a Jew. And now you say every Jew knows that he was the son of a Roman soldier and that his mother was a prostitute.
So how do you think it is that they have been able to hide this way of thinking for so long? Like I told you,
Because it's so ridiculous.
I watched an interview the other day of a Jewish man who was like, I'm supposed to be a hidden Jew. I'm supposed to be hiding it. I'm not. So that kind of, just hearing him say that meant like most of them don't want to reveal themselves. Like it's like they're trying to play the background. They're trying not to let you know who they are. Like you heard him call George Bush a good little goyim, right? And obviously was taking his orders from his higher ups, right? Which weren't, he was the president, so it obviously wasn't coming from us, right? So he had bosses in Israel that were telling him to go do this, go get Iraq. You know what I mean? Those kind of things. Like at this point, I feel that the only reason we're even going to go after Iran right now is for Israel. Israel hates Iran, so Trump's going to bomb Iran for Israel. It's like we're always constantly fighting other people's wars. It's never the U.S.'s war. I'm not even convinced that we went to Iraq for oil anymore. You know, everyone was like, oh, it was blood oil. That's why we went there. We went there to rob and steal all of their oil. Well, that sounds like, I mean, it doesn't sound good.
We got so much fucking oil stacked up in barrels. We got oils for fucking years and days and days and days. We got plenty of oil.
Yeah.
For no fucking reason.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so if we went to take the oil from Iraq, then why is the House of Saudi to this day the richest family on earth? If we went and took all that oil, right, they are still doing very well with what they have over there. So obviously we didn't go over there and take the oil. So to me, the fact that Israel's been able to kind of play the background this whole time without anybody ever kind of knowing that they're pulling strings it's crazy to me. I don't even know how they did it.
I know you're not a nerd, but you've seen Star Wars, right?
Yeah, I've seen, a long time ago, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not very good. People bring up Star Wars references.
I'm not the reference I made.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, Chancellor Palpatine, right, was the Sith Lord the whole time. Nobody knew. Chancellor Palpatine, the Senate, he's the guy, right? And then he even got Amidala to vouch for him so that he could take over the whole thing, and she called for a vote of no confidence and this and that.
Oh.
And then turns out he's the Sith Lord, right? So when Anakin, came to the turning point, he pounced because he was sitting there waiting the whole time. Nobody would know. So this same kind of thing, same reason why in Breaking Bad, Heisenberg, right? How did Walter White get away with making so many pounds of meth and doing all this dirt, right? And I mean, came so close so many times to getting caught, right? And never did, because it's so fucking unlikely. It seems so absurd.
Sure.
You try and tell people, right? And it just sounds like you're this crazy person, right? Like, the Jews, man, the Jews.
Yeah. It's like every time I see something on TV that I know isn't real, okay? I'm like, that is a psyop, you guys, I promise. Don't believe what you just saw on TV. That is not real. People immediately go, why would they lie about that? I mean, because that's what they do, okay? I know you have a hard time believing that, but that's what they do. They put out fake stories. I've even come to my own conclusion where I think that maybe local news is real and national news is fabricated. 100%. Because when we see national stories, they're always so elaborate and they don't seem real to me. And there's always some kind of weird thing in it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, me and the Renee Good thing, not buying it. But there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there where I'm like, you're gonna have a hard time convincing me of that, but I'm sure everyone else is gonna buy into it.
Right.
And then if I try and tell anybody, hey, I wouldn't listen to that, they're gonna go, oh, Toby. You know what I mean? Oh, you've been or something, because obviously you know, so.
Well, that was a long time ago. Who knows what was said back then?
Yeah, I guess that's right. That's absolute right. We're having a real bad problem in our country right now. There's a lot of outsourcing of jobs and deindustrialization of this country. The 7 Jew banking families that took over control of the money in America in 1913 was the Rothschilds of London, Israel Schiff of Italy, Kuhn and Loeb of Germany, the Warburgs of Hamburg, Lehman Brothers of New York, Goldman Sachs of New York, and the Rockefellers of New York. A lot of people, they don't realize and know that these 7 Jewish families actually control all the money and have controlled the money in this country since 1913. I know you're aware of this.
Of course.
Now, in doing so,
I
mean, that makes a pretty big purse, doesn't it?
Listen, the goyim are the schleppers. They do all the work. That's what they want to do. They want to work. They always want jobs, so we give them jobs to work. The Jews don't work.
No, Jews don't work, and you're absolutely true. I want to get back to this Holocaust, and I want to get back to the Holocaust survivors. It's to the point here, Rabbi Finkelstein, where there's more Holocaust survivors getting money, getting payments, financial payments, than there were Holocaust people who died, allegedly among the Jews. Where did all these people come from?
Well, again, they have the evidence, they have the proof that they were there in the Holocaust, and so they're entitled to some money.
So, in other words, you Jews say 6 million were killed in the concentration camps, and yet there's almost 6 million that are still receiving funds from Germany and other funding, and that's 12 million. Now, how does 12 million come out of 3 million?
Listen, again, the numbers, you keep arguing about the numbers. The bottom line is that the Jews are entitled because we've been persecuted for thousands and thousands.
But you gotta pause it, dude. That is so bad. That's like that's like basically me saying like, "Hey, fuck you. This is how it is." And
He's like, why do you care about facts?
Yeah.
Right?
Why are you? It's basically saying he's like, why are you even trying to bark up this tree right now? You realize this is fucking pointless.
He's
right?
like, I could care less what you guys think.
Like you can know everything that's going on, and it won't make a lick of difference.
Exactly.
Like,
it's already put into place.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do now.
Yeah.
We own everything. You're
Like,
screwed.
You're done.
So
You're done.
that's why this interview was interesting, because he's like mocking him. He's like, bro, I can't believe it. And this Christian guy is like, but this is why I don't like you guys. And he's like, and this is why we don't care. Right?
Yes, exactly. So, yeah.
And it's just a big back and forth. But yeah, I see the same thing. There's like this pompous side to him that just is like, wants to rub it in his face almost. Like you're just goyim too. Like, what's different between you and the rest of the cattle?
Yeah.
Thousands of years. And so we're entitled. Even 100 years from now, there'll be people collecting money on the Holocaust because of that lousy boy Hitler over there. He was a bad boy.
Now let me ask you a question about this.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Does that sound like someone whose people were persecuted, or does that sound like someone who their servant bit their hand as they were trying to hand him a piece
exactly. It like changes things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. And that's, I think a lot of people are waking up to that. And that is so in like the whole Holocaust thing they were just talking about the 6 million, and then 6 million receiving benefits to this day. To me, that would be the reason alone to inflate the numbers. If they knew that in the long run that they were going to get these reparations for that, then they inflated the numbers to get another 4 million people money.
Well, it's not that.
If there was only two or 3 million.
The elites never do anything for one reason. There's a plethora of reasons why they do every move they make, and it hits multiple ding, 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 ding at the same time. And they got money. They also got, ammo for playing the victim role for the rest of eternity. Simultaneously, while becoming the victim, they also demonized the guy who might have actually potentially been saying something that we all needed to hear, right? I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go ahead and say
that's a
Hitler
tough
was
one.
great, right?
Yeah, no, that's a tough one. It's people are starting to look at it differently.
Differently, yes, exactly.
But it's still a very sensitive subject.
Yeah,
so I feel
I could say that one thing and someone could clip that.
I feel you.
Like,
yeah, it's like people are going to hear this and go, "Oh my gosh, they love Hitler." No,
no.
But there's an awakening right now.
But what
a lot of people are
we don't know the whole story?
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. What if we don't know all the facts? What
100%.
if Hitler knew some shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And potentially, and like anybody, you gotta be a motherfucker, to kill anybody. Okay,
exactly.
You gotta be like one of those. So
he was obviously pretty ruthless.
Obviously a very evil or demonic.
Because even if he was trying to wipe them all out, he was being rather ruthless about it, throwing them into doing bad things.
Now at the same time, now and again, just playing devil's advocate here because we already fucking popped the balloon. We might as well, right? How ruthless would you be willing to be if you're protecting your child?
Yeah, that's how he felt. I mean, that's at least what people are starting to think. Because, I mean, when you listen to some of those speeches now, because growing up, at least for me, I could see the Hitler speeches. And I seen this crazy guy with his hair flopping around and he's like going crazy, like yelling in German.
Yeah.
And then just having people tell me that he's evil and he did all this thing to these innocent people for no reason, tried to wipe out a whole race. And you're like, and so that's how I was raised to believe. Now as an adult, I get to hear that translation of his words in a different sense. I never got to do that before, right? I was only reading what people told me what he was saying. So now when I get to listen to his big speech, when he talks about saving his country, saving his children, trying to bring back all these bad, filthy things that have been brought into his country, and how he's trying to fix his country and doesn't want people coming in from Israel and ruining his country, right? That when you see that, you think, oh, that's just a whole nother aspect I never I never heard before.
Because we were given the old switcheroo from day one.
Exactly.
That's why. Because we would
Yep.
never even think about. Because the way it was poised to us was, hey, Hitler was a guy who said he was trying to do all this good stuff, but actually was just really evil.
Exactly.
And did all this bad stuff. And look, here's a proof. All these Jews died.
Yeah.
Right. And not only did they died in horrific ways. He tortured them. He gassed children and women. Right. So why would
we condemn that stuff? We don't support that stuff. It's just, this is an open conversation. We're having dialogue about theories and things that could happen, how things are looking nowadays.
Yeah, I will say,
you know, we don't love Hitler. You know, you're gonna hear us say that 5, 10 times. I don't even know
Hitler. Never met the guy. Right?
And obviously, my whole life I've actually hated the guy. So there's really nothing. As I know, there's a couple white guys talking. I don't want people to see this and go, oh, look at these guys. It's not even like that. We're trying to have a conversation about history right now.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff's been brought up. A lot of stuff's come out in the Epstein files. So right now we're just having a conversation about what the big topic is. And this interview particularly is leading us in that direction. So
right. Yeah.
Well, you know, we've gotten into a lot of very interesting information. We're going to get into more here in the very near future, but Rabbi Finkelstein, this country, the United States of America, is in real deep trouble right now financially, and I kind of want to know what you're telling the other Jews in that in regards to, because I know Jews don't have any loyalty to nothing but gold and silver, especially gold. What are the synagogues teaching the Jews in America today as to the course of where this country is heading?
Well, it's like this. You know, America, it served its purpose for us for a while. We made a lot of shekels here. We made a lot of interest off the shekels. But we can get cheaper labor in China. We can get cheaper labor in India. Why should we pay the white race goyim here in America any money when we can make a better deal over there? It's all about shekels.
You know, I want to get into that about shekels and interest and everything, and this is very interesting that you bring it up, because I noticed that there's a lot of investment by Jewish financiers into Asia, most parts of Asia. Now, I also know that Jewry is an Asiatic race. Is this correct?
Well, we're really all over the world, but yeah, I guess you could say we started in Asia.
Yes, that's right. Now, the Hebrews did not start there, and the Israelites didn't start there. You really have no bearing to be in the Hebrews or the Israelites. You are not the dispersed nations, plural, of the tribes of Jacob, who were surnamed Israel. Actually, the con game that you have brought on to this country and the world for many years, and it's been a good con, game, is that you're allegedly God's chosen people.
We are God's chosen people. It's just that most Jews don't like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer.
Your God is gold.
Well, that's what we like, is lots of gold, lots of shekels, some American.
And that's also pretty bold. I mean, hearing him say our God is Lucifer is as bold as you can get. I mean, because a lot of people might think a lot of things about Jews. A lot of people might think, oh, because this is when I started to pique my interest, was when I heard that Christians were getting persecuted in Israel, that they were getting stoned and stuff, and that a lot of the people in Israel didn't like the Christians being there. I'm not super religious growing up, and so, you know, I went to church with my friends and stuff a little bit, and that was about it. And so because of that, I was a little surprised to hear that you know, Israel didn't like Christians being there, because I thought they literally believed in the same thing. And then I found out they do not. They actually don't like Christians, and they don't believe in anything like they believe, and that they think that Christians are bad. Yeah. And so when I learned that, I was like, wow, that's not, especially because Jews are always so protected by, especially like America. Like, you can't say anything in America about Israel. It's just, it's anti-Semitic, right? So no matter.
Did you see the video of the guy who he was standing in court at some public thing, some hearing, and he like did everything legit, got his time, wrote his thing, standing up there, and he's like presenting like a essay that he wrote, right? Totally professional, no cursing, respectful, everything. But he's saying, this person, Jew, this person, head of this, Jew, this person, secretary of this and in charge of this, Jew, right? Just going down the list, right? And they like literally are stop him, and they're like, okay, we've heard enough. We don't want to hear any of this, right? Because whatever, you know, like that's the level that we're at.
Oh yeah.
So
it's at every level. I mean, even our presidents, you know what I mean? Like here's a good example. Trump's daughter married Jared Kushner, big time Jew from Israel. Okay, Trump has embraced Judaism through his daughter and has become pretty attached to Israel.
Right.
Okay, so Trump is very pro-Israel, obviously, because in my opinion, you can't be president if you're not pro-Israel. I don't think it's possible.
No.
They won't let you.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you can do that. I mean, Obama was very pro-Israel. He's pretty much Jewish.
Yeah.
And then Joe Biden's, all three of his children married Jewish people.
Right.
So that just tells you that whether or not you're Jewish yourself, people, especially at those high levels in politics, they just play that game. They have to. They want those donors. You know what I mean? They want that money. They want people. They want that power. And so they play the game. But you'll hear as Larry, Mr. Finkelstein here, keeps talking about how, yeah, sure, let the Goyim in. Let him do all the work for us.
Right.
Like, he can be a fake Jew. That's what he's going to say. They don't, there's no respect there. They could be like, come on in, eat with us, and not really give two shits about you. It's just using you in a sense that we don't care about you like that.
Yeah,
You're cattle.
yeah, you're cattle.
I mean, I'm still going to let the cow live on the farm, right? That's how they look at it. And that's
got to make sure the cow has water and food every day, right?
That's insane to me.
Give you that, but
exactly. And I don't know. And that's another thing from this interview. I don't want people to think we're anti-Jew because we are discovering a ton of stuff that is maybe not looking on the up and up, if you could say, right? But other than that, hey, don't shoot the messenger. We're just talking.
And express cards, you know, we like to spend, we like to have a good time. We let the Goyim do the work, and we have a party.
Oh, in other words, free foreign aid, free housing, free food, and you just let the other races be your Goyim cattle slaves. Is this correct?
That's what they want, so we let them be that.
And this is what's coming and planned in this country, too, isn't it, the United States?
Well, this country here, we're going to brown this country up. We're bringing all the Mexicans and all the Hispanics across the border. They're interbreeding, especially with a lot of the white women, the shiksas as we call them, and they're interbreeding with them. Pretty soon there won't be a white race, so they'll be all brown.
And talking about race, you are a race, Rabbi Finkelstein, but you are a Heinz 57 mongrel race of Asiatic blood. Is this correct?
Well, there's Jews everywhere in the world. We interbreed with all the good-looking women in every country we go into. All the good-looking women, all they care about is we buy them a few diamonds. Not that they're worth anything. We mark that industry up real big. If the truth be known, we have so many diamonds that if we ever turn loose the diamonds we have, you can buy them for the same price as a dozen roses. But the women, they like the diamonds. They like the fillets. So we give them the diamonds and the fillets, and we make an appointment with them, and we have sex with them, and sometimes we marry them. It doesn't matter, because when we want a divorce, we just go to one of our fellow Jew judges and get the divorce. We have a Jew lawyer. She's going to hire a Jew lawyer. Yeah, she's not going to make any shekels, but she can try.
Let me ask you this. This is very interesting. This war...
And that's what we were talking about just yesterday when I was like, he says, she's just going to hire a Jew lawyer and she's not going to have a chance. So there is so much truth in that. After I've done my own research on that, that is very, very true. You can't run from that. And that is where I think people get in trouble, and why you see certain people getting off for stuff that they probably shouldn't. I mean, it is what it is, but it's definitely not right at all. It should never be that way.
In Iraq that took place after the alleged towers of 2001, September 11, 2001, this alleged war, it got very interesting. There were really no Jews in them towers. Can you explain that?
Well, spiritually, there were a lot of Jews in the towers. A lot of Jews died in those towers, spiritually.
Oh, I see. Well, the 3,000 Jews were not at work that day in those towers. That just gave a lot of people have the impression that the Jewish population out there in New York, was aware that something was going to happen, and they didn't show up for work that day.
Yeah, we got a call from the Kahilla that Ariel and some of the boys in the Mossad, they got together and they wired up the buildings and they took them down. It was going to be a hard thing to take them down anyway because we wanted to build some new structures and the buildings were getting old and it was time to bring them down. This way, we make some shekels by destroying the building. Old Silverman, who's a good friend of mine there, Larry, he got a two-for. He got a 2-for-1 there, and he doubled the insurance magically just 3 months before it happened, and then he got a 2-for hit on it, so he made like 4 times his money. I should have been in on the deal. He asked me, but I said, I don't know, let me think about it. It took a little too long for me to think about it, and he pulled the plug. He pulled it, as they say, and so the buildings come down. But at least I got in on the market, and I was short American Airlines, I was short United Airlines, I was short Lloyd's of London Insurance Company because they took a big hit. Allianz Insurance Company, I was short them. So I made a few shekels.
Well, let me ask you this. There's a lot of
That's crazy, because that's like worse than inside trading. That is insane. That's insane. And I had heard about they said 3,000, but I had heard about the 4,000 Jews that got tipped off before the planes, and none of them went to work that day. I have heard that before. And that's another thing we were talking about earlier about the average Joe would never believe that.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard that.
And
so that's taking me a second to like.
Yeah, and a lot of people have a hard time even thinking that 9/11 was
a staged thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can barely comprehend that part of it.
Yeah, roses are red, all dogs go to heaven, Bush did 9/11.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's pretty obvious, I think, at this point. I don't think anybody should have well, matter of fact, they talk about 9/11 in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
It's talked about in there too. So I mean, that's another thing that's just going to come out, and hopefully, because people see it in there, they might put a little validity on it, I guess, for people, so they can at least admit it for once.
Speculation here. I know that the Jews are thieves and liars of any moral society. Now, I want to thank you for coming on tonight and talking to me, because I also know that there's no conscience among Jewry. And Rabbi Finkelstein, it doesn't matter what I say to you, it's going to bounce off you like water off a duck's back, right?
Well, right. Jews always feel guilt. We've always felt the guilt. We have a conscience.
The only conscience you have is when you can't steal all the money from anyone or any country.
Well, you're hitting a little close to home, but you're correct.
Now, on a lot of food labels, there's a U and a K. And this U and K on all food labels, for example, that are sold in supermarkets, etc., is this a Jewish tax that is paid to rabbis like you all over the United States? Is that another con job at the expense of the goyim, the masses who purchase the product?
Well, I didn't get in on that one, but yeah, it's a lot of other rabbi groups. They tax the food, and you could call it a tax. You're entitled to make money where you can make money. If nobody stops you, you make the money. And but the goyim, I mean, they're the cattle. The white race out there, they're the goyim, they're the cattle. And so if we want to make money off of feeding our cattle, who's to say that that's wrong?
Well, let me ask you, what's the greatest fear of the people that you have in your syndicate synagogue, Rabbi Finkelstein? What is the greatest fear that the Jews in mass are facing on the East Coast?
Well, the worst thing is if we hang around, our old buddy up there in the Federal Reserve, Alan, he's going to pull the plug on this U.S. dollar. And we want to make sure that we're into Swiss francs or into euros or Japanese yen or something before that happens. We'll get the call from the Cahill.
So if people don't understand who Alan is, it's Alan Greenberg. Alan Greenberg is the head of the Federal Reserve. He's a Jewish guy. So when he says Alan's going to pull the plug on the dollar, he's talking about the guy that is currently, because this is an old interview.
Right.
It's currently the head of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenberg.
Right.
So that's an interesting statement considering he's there right now. So if he's going to pull the dollar, which I think we've all had a feeling that eventually they're going to try and take this physical money and turn it into digital currency. We're going to move to digital currency eventually. I just never wanted that to happen.
Me neither.
You can't let people cut off your money, dude.
No.
Like you can be as rich as you want. If it's all digital, next thing you know, it's just gone.
Yeah.
Or someone just turns it off.
Yeah.
We can't live in that kind of world.
No. And can you imagine walking up to a blackjack table and swiping your card or whatever instead of putting down $100 bills and then, you know what I mean, going up to the cash cage and cashing out for I don't know, something on your card. That would be
Well, I still like cash. So people always say to me, I never have cash. Well, I kind of always keep cash on deck for that reason.
Cash is king.
I do it on purpose because I don't like having all my eggs in one basket. So if I got my money in the bank, cool. I still have a little stash all the time. I always, because I just don't trust that stuff.
No.
I don't know when someone's just going to take that from me. You know what I mean? I don't even trust banks at all. So the fact that I have to put my money in the bank sucks. You know what I mean? But this is that's just life, because at the end of the day, I always have to be able to prove how much money I make. You know what I mean? Because I'm a good little goyim, you know, according to them.
Right.
So.
Well, we're liquidating now, little by little. A couple of other goyim that they're good, bought and paid for Shabbos goy. The Bill Gates fella from the computer place, and the Warren Buffett. Both of them, they got out of U.S. dollars about a year ago or so. We told them, to liquidate, and but we're still hanging on there. So we made a little extra interest since they were out of the market. They got a lot of shekels themselves.
I see where you Jews have finally taken over the National Rifle Association. A Jewess by the name of Sandra Froman is now president of the National Rifle Association.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but we took over the NRA a long time ago. Charlton Heston, it's not known so much, but yeah, he's a nice Jewish boy. We let him play Moses in the movies back in the 50s. We took the NRA over long ago. All the organizations out there, the Jew controls it. Everybody knows that.
You know, I read in your Talmud where it says that if you're to have any opposition, you will control that opposition.
Well, of course, the smartest thing is to own both sides of every game.
But you...
That way you know the outcome. We own the Republicans, we own the Democrats. We got a lot of good Jewish boys on both of them, and the rest of them are good bought and paid for Shabbos goy, and we throw a few shekels into their campaign contributions that we give them, and our Jewish lobby in Israel, and they take the money and they do what we want so that we can make some shekels. If nobody stops it, who's to say we shouldn't be doing it? Don't you wish you could do it? You're not doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, but you're thieves and liars. You're all thieves and liars, just like it says in St. John 8:44. But you see, Rabbi Finkelstein,
I don't like that he says, if you guys aren't going to stop it, then why should we stop? you know, because it's really crazy to me
It's like the same
on
thing.
how small of a group we're talking about here.
Yeah. This is, I mean, that's what every heroin dealer says, that, you know, like, if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, you know, and nobody's, and it's like, also, in the drug trade in general, you don't, yeah, cops might arrest people, but you don't really think they want that to stop, right? It's too much money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they might not want you to know that that's what they want, but that's what they want. So same fucking thing.
And it's like, how do you think this small group of people, okay, has developed? Like, I mean, so I kind of know, but I'm a little confused on how it got manipulated to the point that it has. Like, great example. They say like 2% of the planet's Jewish, okay? It's like it's a small percentage, okay?
Right.
If it's that small, but they own like 90% of everything, that doesn't add up to me. That doesn't make any sense.
Does to me.
Right? Like, you guys somehow have been manipulated, and every other race just sat there. While you guys were making moves for centuries,
yeah,
everyone was sitting stagnant. So that's where it gets confusing to me. Now, I understand that it's all about the sectors. So when I did my research, one of the big things that they were stressing is it's not about running the world. It's about controlling the sectors, control the education system, control the health system, right? Control the banks, control each area one at a time until you own everything. And then once you have those sectors, you own everything. It's not about owning every business, literally. You don't have to own McDonald's, Dairy Queen, know what I mean? Burger King, Taco Bell. Once you own the food industry and control the food, you now own all of those restaurants.
You own the FDA, so
Yes.
McDonald's, Burger King, all those guys answer to you.
Yes.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah.
So all these things that we think are individual entities just basically are working for a way bigger power.
Yeah. I just drove by a McDonald's the other day, or like when I was coming here, I think, actually, and I just remember, like, I was at a stoplight looking at it, and I had seen like something on X about how, like, you know, look at the new McDonald's and look at the old McDonald's, right? New McDonald's are like gray and, like, you know, drab, like this like stone building, you know. The old McDonald's is like super colorful and like happy.
They all had
like,
playgrounds.
They all had playgrounds and everything like that. It's like, what happened? You know, it just makes you wonder. Like,
and to be honest, McDonald's when I was a kid wasn't necessarily, I mean, yeah, we loved Happy Meals, okay? I think Happy Meals was like I think that was a good branding in a sense.
Yeah,
Kids really love Happy Meals. That was really good branding. I'll give them that. But the playgrounds were where it was at for kids. Yeah. We love going there, 100%. Even just waiting for your food. Like, Mom, I'm gonna go play on the slide, right? So it is weird seeing that stuff go away. It feels like, I don't know. I wonder why that stuff changed. Like,
I think it's because when I was growing up 20-ish years ago, when I was a kid, when I was a 7-year-old, you know, the world, obviously this is all way before, this is before pre-click, it was before even 2012. Like, we hadn't even made it past that marker of like, you know, oh, what's going to happen in 2012? The Mayan calendar ends, right? Everyone in my town, at least, was always like, oh my God, what happens in 2012, you know? Mm-hmm. So there wasn't like, this is what we're seeing now is the execution of a plan that's been set in place for a long time. But you got to understand the gravity of this plan it's more like a general idea. It's not a specifically like executed thing, right? So they go with the flow too, you know? So whenever COVID happened, that must have been the time when somebody decided, like, okay, time to start the engines, you know what I mean? Time to test this thing. And so COVID happened, they implemented new facial recognition, they proved that they can lock down the whole society and basically put us under martial law without really doing it, you know?
Oh yeah.
I was the only person driving on the freeways at that time, by the way. I remember seeing the signs, you know, stay home, keep everyone safe, or whatever it was. I'm just like it was awesome. It was like I was the last guy left on earth. You know, it was almost like I could walk into a store and just like grab whatever I wanted. You know, it was like
I watched a music video during COVID, and Vegas was shut down.
Yeah.
And he was just walking down Vegas with no one around, empty Vegas. And I'm like, that's the coolest video shot ever, because that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're never gonna see Vegas abandoned.
No,
dude. Like, it was crazy. I was like, that's a good idea just to think of that. You know what I mean? But that's another thing is, go ahead.
Well, so the COVID thing that happened, and it's like ever since then, bro, shit's been different, right? Shit has been different. And a while ago, you know, we talked about the age of empires. We've talked about the dollar is going away. These are all the things, like, America isn't going to be a thing anymore. It's not going to be in America. Like, probably the Roaring 20s was like the last great time for this country, you know, like where everything really was like awesome for a few years, you know. It's like, imagine if you had a mechanism that produces you, like, it's like a chicken coop, bro. It's like I have a chicken coop and I have cows, and now I want my cows doing this. I want my chickens doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my cows eating this grass in this field. I want them eating this grass in this field, and not knowing, you know, I don't know the specifics, but like, if you look at the grand scheme of things and the general idea of what is changing and how things are changing and how things are happening, they're making changes, and they're doing it slowly, and they're doing it in a way that nobody's going to be able to figure out what the goal is, because that's the most important thing. We don't want them to know what the goal is, because then maybe they could try and stop it. You know what I mean?
I was just about to do a report. You know, I do a lot of like little mini documentaries, and one of the things that I was just studying was, I remember the guy's name, William something. He wrote a book called The Fourth Clock. And that book is about how life goes in cycle of about 80 years. During that 80-year cycle, you have, like, I don't remember the exact order, but you have like the beginning, and then you have like the driving economy, that everything's going really well.
Right.
And then you have like crisis, and then you have like World War II.
Yes.
Okay. That's the fourth stage.
Yeah.
So during this, when I was reading this, I was like going, what? So where we are? Because if we can tell that by these wars and by just following this pattern, then we should be able to predict where we are now, right?
Right.
And I was reading, they think we're in the final phase we are in the fourth phase of this cycle.
Yeah.
We are in that last part. This is wartime. This is World War III time.
Yes.
It is time. Shit's about to hit the fan.
Yeah. Shit was good 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just been steadily declining. It really has. It's like thing after thing after thing after thing after thing has happened in succession to where now we're here, and it's like, oh, I could. 20 years ago, no way, you know. But now it's like, yeah, I could feasibly see where, you know.
And it's not a coincidence that this cycle is the average lifespan
of. It's not
of
absolutely
a human.
Not. No, this is what I'm saying. This whole thing
like
is way bigger.
That's what I'm
saying. It might even be bigger. We're sitting here talking about, oh, the Jews might be in on this or whatever. It might be even way bigger than the Jews. The Jews might just be like imagine it's like any video game has administrator moderators.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this might not make much sense to you. You play video games, so you know what I'm talking about.
I know what the moderators are.
There's moderators, then there's admins, right? And it's like, these are people that they can still be players. They can still play the game, but they have administrative control. The Jews are the administrators. They have administrative control. Does that mean that they're the creators of the video game? Probably fucking not.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I by no means think like they created everything. Now, the only thing that kind of trips me out is like when I think about the Rothschilds and things like that, those kind of families, I do question how long that's been going on, because I know they go back to past the 1700s.
Yeah.
And that's where, when people are like, how do you think like these families could ever develop this control? And I always say through time.
Through time. Yeah.
Like the Rothschilds have married in family 33 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In family.
Yeah.
So you can tell they're keeping the power in the family.
Hell yeah.
Right? And I'm not, I mean.
And is their family so big that the genetic diversification between like this person way over here on this side of the tree and this person way over here on this side of the tree, they could actually do that safely? Is that what you're saying? Or are they just a bunch of incest monkeys?
Incest.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's because to them, I think it was just about, because like I had even heard this to go all the way back to Atlantis. I had heard, this is just a theory, but the Atlantis was like Beverly Hills. It was where all the rich people, and there was people that lived off the island, but the people that weren't on Atlantis were like, I guess, Goyim, right?
Right.
They didn't mean nothing to them. Right. But the people that lived in Atlantis had all of the power, and so they told everybody on the island, you are not allowed to mess with any of those girls. Those girls that you see over there across the water, no. You are not allowed to touch any of them. You can only mess with people on the island.
Right.
So then pretty soon they started seeing these pretty girls going by in boats and stuff like that. And these guys from Atlantis were like, ooh, come kick it. And then the next thing you know, Atlantis fell. Okay? And their whole thing was keep the power in-house. Right. So we don't get infiltrated. Because if we get infiltrated, we're screwed. Yeah. So that's a small scale of like kind of how I feel about everything in life right now. I feel like we get infiltrated, sectors get infiltrated, and then they get taken over. And like in the Epstein files, he says something, it was actually in the interview I was watching of him, he said something that caught my attention when he said, you don't have to own every company or even every sector. You just have to own the banks. Because if you own the banks, nobody can do anything without you. Yep. You can't start a business. You can't buy a home. Yep. You need the banks. It's the main central point of everything. So if you own the banks, then you own everything. So JP Morgan and all these people have all taken over all of the banks. I mean, this goes back to the Titanic sinking. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is all deep stuff. Deep shit. Yeah. And to us, it's all so hard to wrap our mind around, but it's the reality of it. A lot of this is coming out. It is what it is. People have to start opening their eyes and going, you know what? It's not a conspiracy. It's not. These aren't conspiracies. These are real things that happen through time. And if we keep acting naive, walking around like sheep with our head down, then we're never going to know the truth. Quit writing off people that have other opinions. Yeah. I mean, it's so bad. Like, I don't believe in flat earth. But after hearing everything I've heard and how we've been lied to about everything,
like that would not be the craziest thing.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit.
To find out that we live in a bubble dome and it's all like fake.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit. Like, how could it at this point?
And this is an important thing to remember. Yeah. It's not I know. It never is I know.
Yes, exactly.
It's never that. What it is what I do know is, or what I think, what I can see in front of me, what it looks like is that we're all on the same playing field of like, we're all just gambling. This is a gamble, okay? You're putting your afterlife or whatever on you being right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, is this religion right? Is this religion right? Or whatever, you know? And I can't remember where I was going.
Well, I've always thought it was unique just in the religion sense. I've always thought it was weird that this guy, say a Christian believes in Jesus and God, okay? Then you have like a Muslim who believes in like Muhammad and Allah. Yeah. And then you have, each one has their own principles, okay?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But what they all have in common is they all believe in something up there. They believe in a higher power that is controlling things, okay? Yeah. So when I see people fighting over religion, I always think, you realize you guys aren't fighting for you guys are fighting over what you believe the book should say, like what the real terms are. But the one thing you guys all have in common is you all believe in a higher power. A lot of people on this earth don't even believe in that. So the fact that these religions all have that in common and they're always going at war with each other, I just could never understand that. You guys all literally worship something up there. You just disagree on the name, and you guys want to fight about it. Like, cool, who cares? It doesn't matter. You can call whatever you want, but you guys all have one thing in common. You guys all believe in something bigger.
I think religion and spirituality, I think those words were created for Goyim.
Yeah.
I don't think those are real words. I think if you ask Mr. Finkelstein or whatever his name is, he would just do the same thing as you're doing the whole interview and kind of laugh it off, right? Because it's such a laughable idea. He's like, oh, that's where your brain's at. That's where your head's at. You're not even comprehending. Like, see, for a while in my life when I was a teenager and growing up, it was, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And that worked for a while. But then I realized, but it's the same thing and it's not the same thing. And it really doesn't fucking matter, because all religion is spiritual, right? Because it's about your spirit. And that's, they don't like, the whole thing is about your spirit. It's about your soul. We all have like the energy of like a dying star inside of us, basically, right? It's a human soul. Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't know the facts, but I've read and I've done some research and I've seen that, you know, they have found some sort of physical scientific proof, or like not proof, but like evidence that a soul does exist inside a human body. Like, I remember reading that somewhere.
Well, it's like when they say Jesus, they proved Jesus was a real man.
Right.
They couldn't prove he was a prophet. But they found enough stuff now to where they think.
Didn't they find the skeletons?
That he was
the lashes.
Yeah, they said that he was really a person. They just don't know if he was a Messiah or anything like that. You know what I mean? They're just like they know he existed.
Right.
And so I think what humans struggle with the most is we were all dropped off on this rock one day.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then said, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you any information. I'm not going to tell you who you are. I'm not going to tell you where you are. I'm just going to drop you off here, and you can try and figure it out for yourself, or you can just walk around with your head in the clouds and have a good time while you're there and not really care about none of that. So that's why I don't really blame humans when they're kind of fighting over like what the answers are, because none of us know, right? We're all so lost when it comes to why we're here, who we are, why it happened. And if you talk to a lot of people, they're going to be very matter of fact about that. Oh, I know who I am. I know who my God is. And I know where I am and what I'm doing here. It's so
important that be true.
And it's like, cool. I respect that. But at the end of the day, I don't think you do. Right.
Yeah.
Because
it's impossible.
You were born here the same way I was. With no information.
This is what I'm saying about earlier. Right? Like, it's a gamble. We're all on the same. We're all doing the same exact thing. We're gambling and saying what I think is right. And that's why I choose to never say I know. I just think, you know, it's like, but the whole point of this is to illustrate the fact that, like, it's just as likely that aliens came and had intercourse with some humans a while ago, and there was some like half-quarter alien people that are like the people in the Rothschilds or the right, and that's how you're asking about how they passed it through generationally, right? And this might sound like just some ramblings of some idiot kid, right? And maybe it is, but maybe something along the lines of this actually happened, and it's just as likely that it did.
We just don't
know.
Then
it didn't.
Exactly.
That's the thing that really pisses me off, is when people act like, oh, that's so ridiculous. It's like, no, it's not. Like, it's just as likely that we did land on the moon, and for some reason powers that be saw it fit to make it really look like we didn't, and they faked it all, right? And that you and I are sitting here thinking, oh, we didn't land on the moon because this and this, right? But we're just redoing. That is just as likely as we didn't land on the moon and we're right and this and that, in my mind. Anything is just as likely as anything else. Because we don't know.
None of us have a clue. And that's why it kind of gets irritating too. Because I stuck up for a friend one time, because actually Sean, you know Sean, he made a comment back in the day because he used to believe that he was going through his flat earth moments. Okay?
Right.
And he made a comment on Facebook and somebody said to him, "What, are you stupid?" And I jumped in. Even though I didn't agree with Sean's theories.
Right.
I jumped in for exactly what you just said. You been to space lately? That's what I said to him. That's what I said to the dude.
When's
right?
the last time you saw?
Yeah.
Like,
You
what
don't
was
know
going
any
on?
more than he does. So
Yeah.
don't sit here and try and make fun of him.
Exactly.
You can disagree with it and then keep moving on.
No, that doesn't seem likely to me.
Yeah,
right?
your little jab at him and calling him
Right.
stupid
Yeah.
is so dumb to me and ignorant because you don't know. You don't know. He's like, and then he says to me, "Oh," he says, "I've read books," and I'm like, "Oh,
Right,
you're one of
right,
those."
right, one of those. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
one of-
And-
so that's what I was like. Okay, there's no. If you're talking to someone that believes everything they see and everything, it's pointless to try and talk to them if they can't think outside the box.
Yeah.
If they're so programmed.
Oh, and this is the thing. So
right?
it's like this has always made me so irritated. It's like I can be talking to someone and so many interactions can go just fine, and I can like basically provide proof that I'm a competent human in so many respects, walks of life, in so many different ways, right? And then we get to this point, and then I lose all credibility in all walks of life, even though I've showed them I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I know about this, I'm capable, blah, 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 blah. Basically, like, you're not talking to an idiot, right? So things I say, probably you might want to put some weight on them, like they might actually have some value.
Yeah.
But this is the crazy thing, is that once you breach this territory that we're in, you lose all of that. And it's illogical, because for me, if I'm analyzing somebody and I'm going, all right, how reliable of a source or a person do I think you are? Like, can I believe the things you tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm gonna take, if they show me a bunch of stuff that I think is good and kosher and agree with and valuable, I'm gonna take that into account.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they don't, after, it's like the most frustrating. It's like, and now I can't even say basic things after we've now broke this ice and have you believe the validity of what I'm saying, or trust that I'm a good source to listen to, because it's so ingrained in your head. It's like, example, my mom, when I try and talk about the moon landing to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not even saying like, hey, I know for a fact it didn't happen. All I want to do is just be like, hey,
it just seems like there's a lot of evidence there.
What about this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at this? Did you see this? What do you think about that? Right? And those kinds of questions. And it's always the same answer. It's like unwillingness to even look at it, kind of like the Finkelstein guy, but almost flipped, to where it's not like that pompous, oh, I really know what's going on, but it's almost an unwillingness to even find out or potentially.
And nobody likes to
truth.
be written off.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's just a frustrating feeling
Yeah.
when you're like, listen, if you came to me with your 2 cents, I would definitely respect it.
Right.
I would listen to you, what you had to say, and I wouldn't just shut you down.
Right.
So a lot of times we get frustrated when we're trying to express something, especially if it's something we're interested in. We're like, dude, this is crazy. Check this out. Look what I found.
Yeah.
Look what this is. I feel like it's kind of like with the moon landing, people kind of ignore the fact that when Armstrong or whatever goes on, or I think it's Armstrong, it's one of those guys, goes on
Neil
TV and denies
Armstrong.
it all the damn time.
Oh, that's the different guy.
Yeah, he won't even say it. No matter how much they try and get him to say he went on the moon, he will not.
Buzz
Aldrin?
Buzz Aldrin, that was his name.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, you know how Buzz is weird about it.
Yeah, he is.
It's like he doesn't want to lie to people. And he's like, I didn't. They told you that, I didn't.
Right. Yeah. He's like, I got no comment. Like, I'm pleading the fifth.
It's
type
weird.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. That is weird. Because if I went to the moon, I'd be bragging about it.
Hell yeah.
You know what
how
I'm
many
saying?
people been to the moon?
Telling them all about it. Bro,
Yeah.
I tell people about the time I crashed my buddy's car and we did a 180 on the freeway and we were looking at the headlights at 70 miles an hour, because that was crazy. I know I have a whole thing for that, a routine.
Yeah.
You're telling me you went to the fucking moon and you're not like the least bit like boisterous about that fact. It's crazy. And now there is the possibility that he went to the moon and there's already shit on the moon. There's already these things or people or whatever. And he found out, oh my God, this whole thing is not even remotely like this whole other thing going right. And he's like, and I can't tell anybody or else I'll be vaporized instantly. You know what I mean? Like
well, on that subject, like back to Earth, I feel the same way about kind of the Jewish power. I'm like, does it feel weird to be part of a group like that knows a bunch of stuff that no one else knows, and then know that everything, it's kind of like, you know how pompous he acts? I picture a whole group being that way and going, because when I say Jews, I mean powerful Jews.
Yeah, that's who I'm
right?
talking about.
Yeah, like I mean the guys at the top. It's just like when people are talking about Freemasons.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the guys who go to the Elks Club.
Right.
I am not talking about them, dude. Right? They just play bingo and shit. Right.
Talk about the guy who's making shit happen behind the curtain.
100%.
Like,
it's a big difference. And so when I say those things, that's who I'm speaking about. But them holding this power and then like hiding it and then walking around, and that's why I was interested when he asked him, do you feel guilty? It's like, yeah, we feel guilty.
We have souls. We think about it. Like, and that is even more credence to my theory about they're not they're just admins. They're just administrators.
Yeah.
Because we're guilty because we get it, because we know that there's something bigger than us and we can imagine what, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, it's like you guys are, you know.
So that's why I was interested when I found out that Christians believe that Jesus was the Messiah, and that Judaism believes that the Messiah has not come yet. That's the difference.
Right.
And that's why they don't
Jehovah's
think
Witnesses too.
That's why they don't think Jesus. That's why they think he was just a con artist, because they think that the Messiah hasn't come.
Yeah.
But that theory, just that tells me alone. Also, I was thinking the same thing when I first heard that was, yeah, they're just like us.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're just people, but they've somehow manipulated the system to benefit them. And I mean, I guess good for them.
What?
But it's just so vile to me to be so hateful on everyone else. The whole Goyim stuff, your cattle, you guys are all meaningless, worthless, you know.
Yeah.
We're going to grind your babies up and feed them to you. Like, when you hear those things, you think, what are you talking about?
Well,
I don't know anybody like that. Nobody.
That's okay. So you say we're all people, right? It's like, yeah, that might be true, but you take a black-skinned person born in Africa, grew up in rural like Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and then you take a white dude who was born in the USA and grew up in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Both people, different brains,
Mm-hmm.
completely different brains. Okay, now magnify that effect by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years,
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking about almost completely two separate things. They're not the same thing as we are. They have the same sort of body, but so does a fucking monkey. You know what I'm saying? They're not the same thing. So it's different when they think about us or whatever, you know, just like how we think about monkeys.
I guess it's tough for me because I was raised not to be hateful, not to be like a separatist. Don't separate myself from other people. Don't be racist, you know. Always stay, like, try and be kind to other people, like just all the basic stuff.
All the basic stuff, yeah.
And so hearing people that are just, I guess, the opposite of that, and then kind of proud of that, right. They're like, you know, we don't give a fuck. You guys are dirtbags.
Right.
That is just you know, because it's not just me. All my counterparts were raised that way. You know what I mean? So we're all raised to try and just do right.
Well, that's kind of like,
and that might be
that's what you know,
and that's what I was going to say, and that might be the brainwash.
Right.
That might be the manipulation. Yes. But at the end of the day, I mean, what do we want? Do we want a freaking society full of just savages then? Right?
No,
like,
but
we don't want a bunch of people running around like just
but imagine if nobody was a puss cake. Imagine if everybody was bold and true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There would be a mutual respect amongst all the different parties, right? Which there isn't now. See, now it's not about respect, it's about rules.
Yeah.
Rules are what keep us safe, because you can't hit me, it's assault. Right?
Yeah.
But before any of that existed, all those constructual things that we made up in our head, right? There was just, oh, you're big. You look like you might hurt me. Okay, I'm not going to try and hurt you. Are you going to try? Okay, all right, cool. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's pretty much, or you're big, you're a threat. I need to take you out of here. You know what I mean? So.
Well, then that's why I like the whole Hitler thing is interesting because a lot of people think Hitler was trying to step in.
Right.
Hitler was trying to step in and do something, but that whole thing flipped on him.
Yeah.
And turned into the Holocaust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if someone was to ever stand up and try and change the dynamic, I don't know at this point in life if it would ever work anymore. I think we're past, like when people talk about monopoly,
right.
I think we're just past that. And I do. I think we're at a point, like he says in this, and we should get back to this.
Right.
But he says in this, I think at some point that everything got solidified in 1914. And then 1914 was the final phase to where they officially own everything.
Well, and this is, I was just going to say, like, there's also the potential that Hitler, you know, what did we say earlier? Like, it's written in their book, you know, if you have opposition, that opposition needs to be controlled, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the end result of Hitler's reign? Exactly what a Jew who is in power and doing what the kind of things that we're talking about might want, right? Mm-hmm. In that position. It's like, actually, that turned out fantastic for them because they didn't lose the numbers that they said they did. I mean, who even knows what the hell happened, right? But now, for the rest of time, we're a sore subject. No, everyone's scared to even talk about us.
Everything's anti-Semitic,
right?
Sure.
Because it's like we have this protective shield around us of like, you know, oh, well, you're just a Nazi then. Are you a Nazi? You know.
Yeah.
Even look at our politics today. What are the liberals calling the Republicans? Nazis. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like.
Exactly. I always wondered what that crap
even is
came
a Nazi?
From.
What is a Nazi?
Yeah, I can never understand that. I was like, I don't get that.
But see, in school, when I was in elementary school, I saw so many of these images, these graphic, you know, like they shoved all this in my face. So in my mind, when I think of a Nazi, I think bad.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, right? Duh, because Nazis were bad, and the Nazis were the bad guys, and the Jews were the innocently persecuted good guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not saying that's
we don't know for facts.
I don't know.
Like, and that's at the end of the day, that's it. It's just hearing people like Larry here talk the way he talks.
Makes it a little hard to believe.
It's tough to sit here and go, oh, it's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't bother me. I love being cattle and taken advantage of, right? Like, so it's hearing those things. Of course, we're going to be, I guess, not defensive, but we're going to speak from our side, right? And that's the bottom line. We're trying to not be biased here.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's history. It's happened.
Right.
It's just I've never been sold on history books. So at the end of the day, and that's another thing. With Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's madame chick, her father, Robert Maxwell, being a Mossad agent for Israel, and then creating the media, and then writing all of our children's books.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then writing all of our school books.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you see those kind of things, it changes you. It
when I was
changes
a kid,
things on how you look at everything you've ever thought. So
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I had this thought. It's like I genuinely thought when I was a kid that there was like this like history like tree thing, like or not like whatever, figurative tree, like this thing of history that was like the source of all the true undeniable knowledge that everybody pulled from to verify things. I genuinely thought that was a thing.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that made sense to me, and I blindly trusted everybody around me. So I'm like, oh, this must be it, right? You know. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why would we have this information in this book? Who told you? Who said? You know. I always thought that, but it's like you just don't really think about it until you think about it, and then you realize, oh, that's why I was believing all that stuff. You know, the first time I learned, like someone told me, my older cousin, who you know, told me that Columbus wasn't like, that didn't happen the way that I was like 12. And it blew my mind. It was the first time I ever like thought like, but the way he said it, he was so confident about it. Like he was laughing that I even really genuinely thought that that was the thing. It's like, wait, you don't know that that's all bullshit? Really?
It's like when I heard he was a pedophile, but then people just kind of justified it with that was a different time.
Wait,
So,
who?
Franklin. So as
Oh.
soon as Franklin landed his boat,
Mm,
he like married a 14-year-old or something.
right.
And so a lot of people were like,
You mean
"Oh,
Columbus?
he was a pedo."
Or what are you talking about?
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
Columbus,
okay.
yeah.
I was
My bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so
Yeah.
that ended up that was like a, they don't teach you that in the history book. So
Right.
when you hear that, you're like, oh, that's weird. I didn't know that about them. But then right
Yeah.
away, people just go, that was like in the 1700s, man. It was different back then.
Yeah.
That stuff wasn't really, there wasn't bad back then.
Dude.
But it just shows you how much life changes. We live in a world now where, obviously, I mean, we're dealing with a guy who's got a whole island full of younger
Right.
women.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so society and life, it seems to just mold into whatever the big dogs want it to be.
Yeah.
Like I saw something a long time ago that said every empire that's ever fallen was through dogma.
In dogma.
And dogma's obviously politics and religion. But not only that, they defeminize all of the males.
Yeah. Sexual confusion is
so
once
they made all the men become feminine and weak, then they could take their empires down.
Yeah.
So
what happened with Sparta then?
So I don't know.
That's an interesting one that we maybe should look into another time.
Yeah.
Because they didn't fall because of that. How they beat Sparta,
I'd be down
they
to
had
figure out
something else out.
Yeah. It's like when I talk to, it's funny you say that because I was, one of my best friends is Persian.
Yeah.
And, he has told me in the past, because of his father and stuff, he would tell me things and I would go look them up. And I became kind of fascinated with the Persian Empire because that was some crazy stuff.
Right.
It really was. And when they collided with Greece, right, and all that 300 stuff happened, that was some of the craziest stuff.
You'd have to educate me a little more on
ever, So yeah, it's
But I do have an interesting question about
watching just not knowing what kind of empire they had at one point.
Yeah. I
just never knew. Like the Persian Empire was dominant and gigantic at some point.
Right.
And I also have never really been good at geography. So when I go look at a map and I see Israel, and I see
what's the difference
these countries that surround Israel, and I'm like, wow, they're all right there. So.
You got Muslims and you got Jews.
Yes.
And they're different.
Yes.
So what's going on there?
I don't really know. I just know that, Larry here likes to refer to the Arabs as Mary's seeds or whatever. And so I think he just completely looks at Arabs as a different race and Muslims as a different, and not really in a good way either. But if you notice, he likes to point out the white people. And that's what I always found interesting was...
Aren't they white?
That's why it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it might be a jealousy thing, maybe, that Europeans are white like they are, and they're trying to change it. Like
that's why they're bringing all the brown.
Exactly. That's like he was saying.
Like us,
That's the only thing I can think of is that they're just trying to taint the white race, so it's not they're the only ones left, right?
Yeah.
And not the Jews are like inherently. I guess they're not inherently white though, because sometimes you'll see darker Jews and other, but it's kind of the same thing with white people. I have friends that are white that look dark. You know what I mean? They're dark complex, and so I don't know.
But it's like Muslims clearly know everything that the Jews know about the where the cattle and this and that. Clearly they know that, right? Because look at them. Look at their. I mean, dude, like, I don't want to bring up the casino again, but the richest people I've ever seen in the casino are freaking those guys. The oil guys, the guys with like real money where they're just pulling wads of cash out of every pocket they have and tossing it on the table and losing it going, ah, ha, ha, ha.
Well, it's like, what if we lived in what if everything was a facade, okay? So think about like this. You know how like me and you both make music, okay? So growing up, I was always like, hey, someday I'm going to make it to the big leagues.
Yeah.
Okay? Or say you're an actor and one day you want to be a famous actor.
Right.
But what if you're just working your butt off to get here your whole life, right? And then you never make it. You have no idea why you didn't make it. You tried, it just didn't work. No matter how talented you are, you couldn't make it. There's part of me that thinks that you can't even make it. It's closed. It's not for the public. It's a facade.
Yeah.
Like you can't be an actor. You can't be an actress. You can't be a famous director.
Well,
you can't be a famous artist.
Just like how you can be a Jew.
Because you have to be Jewish to be there.
But
if you're not part of our Jewish club, then if you're not George Clooney,
right.
Jewish,
right.
if you're not Brad Pitt, if you're not any of those, because there's one thing that's not being said in this conversation, and we've been kind of strictly on Jews.
Yeah.
The Catholics. Okay? I mean, you're talking about like
this is why I brought up the Muslims, because I felt like we're just singling out the Jews. And
no,
like,
the Catholics and the Jews are like, to me,
they're like this.
I feel like, and maybe that's what this is, right? But there's a bigger picture here because the Catholics have so much power. So like they created politics, they created religion, they created everything. So the Jews have taken control of everything,
right.
but the Catholic Church created everything. That's why we have a Vatican of the Catholic Pope, because they are in charge.
Yeah.
They've been in charge for 1,000 years. 1,000 years. That's how long Catholics have been reigning. So the reason that I thought of that was when I went and did all my research on Hollywood directors and actors, I was like, oh, wait, that person's not Jewish.
Right.
Oh, they're Catholic.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, they're not Jewish. Oh, they're Catholic. And that kept happening.
Yeah.
It was falling to the other side. And I was like, oh, but there was no in between. You know what I mean? That's what was weird to me. It wasn't like, oh, look, there's a little bit of everything. Like here's a good example. How many people would think Barack Obama is Jewish? He's supposed to be black to people, and people would be like, okay, he's from, like, his dad's from Kenya or something. You know what I mean? His mother's white, and he's Jewish. Maybe his mom was Jewish. I don't have a clue. Barack is a very Jewish name, and I didn't know that until recently. So I think that's kind of where we fall, like, I guess, blind sometimes, is a lot of people don't do their research. They don't necessarily know that who's who, right? Everyone, like you were saying, we're all white people. We're not going to know the difference. And if you wouldn't be like, oh, look, that person looks Jewish because of their features, they'd be like, that's anti-Semitic, dude. You can't say that. What? No. I'm just saying that because they look Jewish. If someone sees me and goes, oh, he looks white, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. You just think I look white.
Right.
If I think you look Jewish, you look Jewish.
Right.
So to make that anti-Semitic falls right back into that whole game of don't you dare.
Don't you dare.
Don't you freaking dare. You are not allowed to say that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, I just did.
Identity movement in this country who really understands to a varying degree of what you people are and what you've done.
Well, that's true. You're one of those goyim out there that we don't control. But I'll tell you a little something else. We all respect you for what you do, because at least you stand up for your race. The rest of them out there, they're all a bunch of cowards, all the white race goyim, all the men. The most of them these days, they carry purses and they wear earrings. They're no wonder the white girls come to us, all the shiksas.
You know, I had a conversation here not long ago with an individual, and I got into the feminist homosexual agenda in the United States, and I told them that actually the sexist homosexual agenda was actually created and funded by Jewry, by the Jews of the United States. Well, do you want to discuss on that?
Jewry.
Yeah, we got that going back in the early 1900s. The women's rights movement, we started off See, when you're gonna have a game and you got a bigger goal, you can't go in like a Sherman tank going through something. You gotta start a little small. And so we said, hey, how about you get equal pay for equal work? And women have the right to vote. And everybody bought into that. And we started with the women because it's hard to get the men. The women are the weaker sex, as we know from that old Adam and Eve story of yours. But at any rate, we got the women going. And now look at all the women. Most all of them around the world, especially here in America, they got short hair. They got a schwarzer for a boyfriend. They got a lesbian lover. They're married by the time they're 40, but then they can't have too many little children themselves because they've already ruined those years chasing the almighty gold, the dollar, the shekel, and so they're going to wind up a bunch of old maids because nobody wants them. But the bottom line is that the real good-looking ones, we take them to Hollywood that we own, and we make them big.
I see. Well, Rabbi Finkelstein, you know, I was talking to you about the U's and the K's that's on the food boxes and the food sources. And the thing that I want is that this is a private Jewish tax that people unsuspectedly are paying, aren't they?
Well, some know, some don't, but they better pay, because if they don't pay, they don't get the item. And the rabbis need to make some shekels, too.
You know, I was talking to a person who journeyed over to Israel, and the United States has always been known as the land of milk and honey. They say over there, the United States is a land of milk and money. Would you like to relate to that?
Well, what's in a saying? What can I say? A lot of people here in America, they still keep screaming about these 55 guys that they say formed the country a couple of hundred years ago. But the bottom line is that the Jews formed the country. We came over here. 1492 was that terrible year that we got kicked out of Spain. And Columbus, who was a Jew, he found it out to take us over here. We were going to set up in Rio, and then we decided to go to New York, because New York has a little bit better weather, not so many mosquitoes. It was a little bit better. So we set up in New York, and we make the money.
I was going to ask you, this war in Iraq, there's a lot of Jew money invested in this war, isn't there?
Well, we have all the ammunition companies, we have all the aircraft companies, all the gun manufacturers, all the supplies. We're making a lot of money, and George Bush is a good goyim. He borrows it right from the Federal Reserve, and then he has to tax the people to pay back the interest, because the most important part of a loan is the interest. You must pay back the interest. We're not concerned with the principal, but the interest has to keep going on. And we've done pretty well with Iraq so far. We've got about $300 billion or so. And but this war here is going to go on for another 30 years, as George said. We told him to keep it quiet and shut up and don't act like a big shot. But he kept talking. And so, but this war is going to go on for another 30 years. We're going to go into maybe 60 countries or so. We're going to be drafting all the goyim here soon. The men, the women, they don't want to sit home and have families anyway. They'd rather have a career. That's a nice, exciting thing for a woman to put on a green suit and go over there and shoot people and get shot at. Must be exciting to them. So we're making a lot of money.
You know, this is very interesting. Well, Rabbi Finkelstein, it's really good talking to you, and I'm sure the listening audience here on the Turner Radio network.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is it. That's we were just gonna watch the first half of this today, and then we will do the second half later.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Really, really good book to read for anybody watching this. Confessions of an Economic Hitman. what he was just talking about, it's crazy because I read this stuff when I was like 19. It's like 8 years ago. And now I'm sitting here with you, I'm listening to this interview. I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense. Like the jackals and just the whole power scheme of how it all works makes sense.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is tied to fractional reserve banking. And what he said is exactly true. The president of the United States borrows money from the Federal Reserve and loans it to X, Y, and Z, or pays this X, Y, and Z, and you know, like America is the cash cow, and you know, America will be like, hey, let's build you a bunch of new infrastructure, and we'll give you credit, right, so that you can build this new infrastructure, all your new roads, and the catch is our one condition is that you have to use our contractors are going to come in here and do. So we're going to loan you the money, then we're going to bring our contractors in here, and you're going to pay our contractors the money to do the job, right? So not only are we fully controlling the flow of money, we're also controlling what the work that gets done in your place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to get it.
You know,
we're wrapping up.
I think, you know,
yeah.
America is we're the working class, okay? Like we're a giant company that works for Israel,
exactly.
Right? Israel's the boss. We're the, you know, UK is the kings, the royalty.
Yeah.
And America is the company that
America's
they started.
A business.
Had a board of
LLC.
directors that started it.
Exactly.
And they own it. And they run it.
Yeah.
And it's been that way since.
And what they just created, the whole story about, you know, the founding fathers and
exactly.
everything. And like,
that's all just a bunch of bullshit. Yep, straight up.
The constitutions, all just, you know,
It was all a big game. And that's why anyone that thinks that isn't possible, I would ask you this. If we've been around on this earth, so they say humans have been around on this planet for 2,000 years, okay?
Right.
When you think about it, 2,000 years, I mean, that's a pretty long time ago. But 250 years, right, when America was made, is not that long ago.
Yeah, no.
But so if that's not that long ago, but then you take that and then you break that down to the 2,000 years that this people have been on this planet.
That's an eighth of the time, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're brand new.
We're brand new.
This is just so they had all that time.
Yeah.
To build up a plan, devise, make money, all that for thousands of years.
And what?
And then now they're here. And everyone's like, oh, that's impossible. Of course not. Yeah. Of course not. It hasn't even been that long. No. It took them that long just to get to that point. Right. Now they're here and everyone's like, oh, I don't think it's possible. That's because we don't know anything. Because we all got dropped off here and we believe everything we're told and everything we hear and we watch the news and we go, oh, thanks for all that accurate information.
And it's not like we've had that much time to actually think about it or try and figure it out either, because we spend the first major portion of our lives just trying to figure out how to put left foot in front of right foot and what we're doing, how to, you know, getting potty trained and learning how to talk and doing all that, you know, think about all the time we waste learning stuff just to be able to talk about this stuff.
Yeah. We
don't have full usage of our time. You know, we got a very small window of time where we actually get to try and figure out what's up. You know what I mean? So,
well, we will pick up where we left off before. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sitting in today, Matt. Appreciate it. Until next time, This is Shoot the Messenger. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.